Identifying. Let's go.
You're about to experience action like you've never heard it before. Action sports, celebrities, badasses, and massive interviews. All coming to you from the Polaris Razor Studio. This is Jim Beaver's Project Action, exclusively on Podcast One.
Well, welcome to Project Action on Podcast One. Jim Beaver, your host here. Thank you guys for tuning in. We got a fun one today. A good friend of mine, Mr. Antron Brown. Yeah, you know him from NHRA Top Fuel, Mr. 330 miles an hour. He also does a little thing called Top Gear. Yeah, he's done a bit of TV. Funny guy, great personality. Stoked to have him on the show. Big breaking news out of NHRA a couple weeks ago. He's now a team owner, right? So we're going to dive into life, drag racing, motorsports, kids, family, and a whole lot more with my boy Antron Brown on the show today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Always appreciate the love and the support and, keeping us doing our thing here on Podcast One. Do want to mention this is kind of a big week for me. I've got another show, Down and Dirty Show, also available here on Podcast One. It is launching on SiriusXM as well. Yeah, it's got big enough that SiriusXM picked it up. It's going to be airing on Dan Patrick Radio. I know his podcasts are here on Podcast One as well. SiriusXM Channel 211, Dan Patrick Radio. Sundays, 10 a.m. Pacific. Make sure you tune into that. It's also available on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. I keep calling it iTunes. It's supposed to be Apple Podcast. Yes. It's also available over there, as well as Project Action. So if you get a chance, go and smash it. That's right, that subscribe button over there on iTunes. And, leave us a rating, man. Much appreciated. 1 through 5 stars. Much appreciated. Anybody taking the time to do it. You can give me a follow at Jim Beaver 15 on all forms of social media. So, yeah, Antron Brown on tap today here on the show. Before we get to that, though, do have to tell you about a couple of our amazing partners here on Podcast One. And one of those is our good friends there at Bet Online. And, you need to visit our good friends and exclusive partner of Podcast One, Bet Online, and take advantages of the best bonuses in the business. You can sign up for a free account and make sure and use the promo code Podcast One, and you're going to get a 50% sign-up bonus. And you know what? NBA, we got some massive games going on. Nets and Pacers, Clippers at Sixers, 76ers, I should say. Portland Trailblazers, we got New Orleans Pelicans, Bucks at Pacers again, Lakers and Nuggets, Boston and Clippers, and then we've got that massive NBA All-Star game, Team LeBron versus Team Giannis. Massive All-Star game. So definitely looking forward to that. I love all the festivities around the All-Star game too. Slam dunk contest, three-point competition. Man, All-Star week in the NBA, it is a lot of fun. Anyways, you know what? Our good friends at betonline.ag, that's their website. Make sure and go over there and, hit them up and tell us we sent you. But when you're there, use that promo code Podcast1. It's going to get you a 50% sign-up bonus. Bet Online, they are your online sportsbook experts. And do you own or rent your own home? I'm sure you do, right? Well, I bet it's hard work. You know what is easy, though? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Visit geico.com. Get a quote. See how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. All that being said, we are going to roll into an awesome interview with my good friend, Antron Brown. Got my good friend, Mr. Antron Brown, who... AB, I don't know what you got yourself into, but I was going to introduce you. We could talk about you being a DSR driver, this and that. Now I just got to introduce you as NHRA team owner, Antron Brown.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but the thing about it is one of those deals that it's just the next chapter where I'm heading at in my life, and right now, the good part is just all the partners that are making it happen, like Macro Tools, Global Electronic Technology, and then Hankstafers and just TRD and Toyota. Man, those partners have been with me since the beginning, and Global just signed on this year with Steve Bryson and his wife Samantha and Pat and his son Trevor and all those good people over at Global Electronic Technology. And we just been making it happen, man. We're just bringing it all together. And then Don Schumacher just being the backbone of everything, just like, we're working together where we can make this transition, because right now the team is still a DSR. So my goal is with AB Motorsports is with me and my crew chief, Brian Karate, that we could just work forward to the future where we could just keep building and building. And eventually, hopefully in the near future, we'll just own everything. And then AB Motorsports will be off and running.
Yeah. Well, and, I think I look at this whole thing and I go, there's two parts to this. One, I've got to know you pretty well the past few years, and you're a pretty visionary guy. Like, you've always got a goal. You've got, you've always look into the future. What's next? What's next? How can we expand? How can we make things better for partners? How can I make things better for me? How can we grow the footprint? You're always looking at that, but that being said, like, you got to give Don Schumacher a lot of credit here because, he's got one of the baddest dudes on the planet in Antron Brown under contract with him. But yet he's endorsing this idea, of Antron kind of moving into team ownership. Like, to me, I got to tip the cap to Don because a lot of team owners, they wouldn't want to do that. They'd want to keep you locked in, dude.
I know. And that's the crazy part about it. But for Don, you look at what he has established in this sport. You know what I mean? A lot of people look at different ways and different deals, and he always said that he will never hold somebody down if they want to do something and go out beyond their limits. You know what I mean? He always inspires people to do great things. And look at his story. He came into sport with his son. He used to own his own race team back in the day when he used to drive his funny cars, had a multi-tier team back in the day when it was even unheard of, where he came out with 2 funny cars and 3 funny cars to each race event. And then you look at now what he's done for the sport, where the man's been in every single different type of Hall of Fame, won multiple world championships, over 17 world championships as a team owner. And also he's got over 300 and I think he's about to eclipse over 375 wins as a team owner, including all the different classes he's been in: pro stock motorcycle, pro stock car, the funny car, the top fuel. I mean, the man doesn't just stop, you know what I mean? So what's next? Like, he's inspired all of us in our sport to look at our dream that's ahead of us, grasp on it, and go after it. And he wants our sport to grow. And I think this is great for our sport as a whole, is where other people could do the same thing. And you're seeing new people coming out there like the Beals, got a Top Fuel Dragster team now. You've got Justin Ashley and Justin Ashley Racing, where he teamed up with Davis. Those guys over there, they're doing a great job. Clay Milliken's got his own deal. You got Terry McMillan's team, who came from the bottom, and now they're a contender for championships. The sport is just constantly growing and growing and growing. And in my mind, is like, now's the time, and why not?
Yeah, well, definitely why not? And, and I think that speaks a lot to the NHRA as a whole, and I think you and I have had this conversation, and I got a great relationship with the NHRA, but I look at them and what they're doing, and, I feel like NHRA is growing. I mean, I look at the social media numbers, I see what the younger demographic, like, I feel like people are now sponsors. I feel like people are now coming to the NHRA. You've got other sports, and I don't, it's not like we want to throw NASCAR under the bus or something like that, but I feel like they're in a regression right now because, everything got so expensive and bloated, and they're kind of starting to regress, and they're hurting for sponsors, and it's like, how can we trim here and save costs? And not saying NHRA isn't doing the same thing, but I feel like people are now coming to the NHRA, and it's not like they're having to fight to have people come in. And I feel like whatever the NHRA is doing and whatever they've built, it's made the business proposition a little bit better for sponsors. And for a guy like you to be a team owner, you don't hear anybody going, I'm going to start a new NASCAR team. That's just not happening right now. But here you are going, I'm going to start a new NHRA team, or at least I want to.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just something that I always have been very, very passionate about, and something that I've wanted to do. And the main stable of it is we got Brian Karate back on our team. And that's one of the main reasons why he wanted to actually come back, because he wanted to be a part of this, you know what I mean, and a partner in this. And it's kind of like the old school flavor, like, the John Force and Austin Coyle relationship.
Yeah.
And me and Brian have talked about this for years. We just didn't know, I just never knew where I can establish this and say, okay, when's the launch point? You know what I mean? And the thing about it is kept on getting pushed and pushed in the corner. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? If I'm going to do this right now, I'm in the middle of my career. it's time to make or break. And I've been talking it to all of our partners involved for over years. They all knew what I've been wanting to do. And I never forget, Ed Laukus came to me from Toyota and goes, AB, what's your future plans? You've won championships. Remember you always talked about having your own team? And I said, absolutely. And that's what ignited the fire under me last year, is when you have, the head marketing guy of Toyota of North America, and you sit down and you have a one-on-one talk, and they're going to give you anything that you need to make it happen and support you. And then you start talking to your other partners that you have involved, like Hank Stiffers, like the Jones family over there, and then also Mike Ditzel, the motorsport marketing manager, and they give you 100% support. And then just looking down the road, and you're like, man. And then when we got teamed up with Global, like Triad Technology with the Bryson family, I mean, it was just everything that started falling into place to make this happen. And then I had to talk to Don about it. Me and Don talked last year, and we sat there and just had like a heart-to-heart talk. And he goes, "This is what you want to do?" I go, "Yes, it is." And he's been steering me along the way and is telling me all the pitfalls to team ownership, on how you have to carry yourself and what you have to do, what you have to look out for, and keep cash flow and all the accounting stuff going and everything else. And the coolest part was that, Jim, you never know what you prepare yourself for. I went to college for business administration, and I was going to college to be an actuary, and I had a whole bunch of accounting classes and mathematics classes, and never in a million years where I thought that I'm drag racing, that I would have to lean back on that. And it's all coming to fruition right now, where I'm using everything that I've learned through college to apply to racing, and it's blowing my mind how key education is.
Well, now it just, I've got to feel like, we all know making it in motorsports, just a driver, it's a grind. You're always working with partners and sponsors, stuff like that. And I feel like, man, now all of a sudden, and I think there's only a few of us that understand team ownership and running something and having employees and stuff. But now, like, you're not only worrying about yourself, AB, you're worrying about all these other people, you know what I mean, that you got working for you, and, making payroll and making sure, not only you keep the roof over your head, but they're keeping the roof over their head. And I mean, it's a lot to take in, buddy. Absolutely. You know what I mean? But right now, I haven't had to do it just yet, Jim. Right now, everything's going through Don Schumacher Racing in 2020. So I know in the future I'm about to take that on. But the good part is that I've done it before. You know what I mean? I've done it before. I had my own pro stock motorcycle team. I know what it is like to starve and go from one race to the next race and make ends meet and chase the partnership and sponsorship dollar, and to make it work. And I drove the rig before. I have my own CDL license and everything else. I did all that stuff, set up, work on the race vehicle, did the whole 9 yards. So I understand every aspect of the business from every end. And over all these years working with all the partners, it all goes hand in hand. And that's the thing, is that when you go out there and you look at in today's world, and you know it because you run your race team in off-road, is that you just can't be just a good driver. You just can't be just a good spokesperson. You've got to be well-rounded in everything to make this stuff work now in today's era in motorsports. You know what I mean? And the one thing A-Trade's got going for it is that we have fans showing up at every race. That's one thing that our sport does well, and our TV package is growing and growing, especially on Fox and FS1 and FS2. And that's what you need to be successful, is getting eyes on the prize, I call it. You get what I mean? And that's one thing our sport does really well, and we capture the audience. If you come to our sport and you've never been, it is life-changing. It will shock your soul. And that's one thing that NA Trade Royale Drag Racing does. And that's, I think, the reason why our sport's been sustaining itself. And now you're starting to see it grow in different areas. And you're starting to see where the economy's doing well, and we're starting to get some of the sponsors to trickle back in and get new sponsors in our sport and different stuff of that nature. Yeah, no, and I've never done drugs in my life, but I got to tell you, I think that hit when I had Natalie from Natalie Jenkins. She goes, stand right here, and I'm standing in the water box behind Torrance's top fuel car. I didn't know what to expect. he hits the gas, and I got to tell you, it was like somebody punched me